Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. I am actually fairly exhausted because I think I've shot maybe 10 videos in the span of 2 or 3 days, so I'm pretty burnt out. I think I got maybe a month's worth of videos done, or maybe even 2 months to this point, so I'm pretty much getting all the summer videos done. And obviously videos like this, will happen where it's breaking news or stuff like that. But mostly, the videos set in stone, the reviews, amongst other things. I've been doing a ton of videos, so hopefully you guys will enjoy the content when it appears this summer. But this is an interesting topic because we've talked about the strike before, obviously, on the channel, and we've talked about some of the implications and just the meaninglessness of the whole strike. But there's another strike that's potentially happening with SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild, because June 30th is when the union is going to have to present a new contract or make adjustments to their contract, basically giving actors more payment and trying to compensate for their insecurities. And if the actors do not like what they find, there's the possibility that they might go on strike with the writers as well, because the writers are still on strike, still shutting down productions. I just heard that the Daredevil show just got shut down, as well as the Penguin thing. So it's not letting down, it seems, the writer's strike, and the actors might be following suit. I just read somewhere Scarlett Johansson just made a point about it, saying the writers, they're doing the right thing, and hopefully the union, does right by us actors, or something like that, something stupid like that. And I'm here to make the point again about actors, because we've talked about this before, about the actors getting involved with this kind of strike and the implications of it, and just again the selfishness really that's going into this whole thing. I think that the actors are full of shit. I think that some of them are saying things, or just make a certain light, or make a certain image of the industry that is just not necessarily true. I mean, if you're narcissistic or just easily manipulated, then you might think that they might have some merit to what they're saying, but they're really not saying much. What they're saying pretty much is that I feel entitled to more money and I would like to have more money. That's basically what these actors and these writers are saying. The directors, filmmakers apparently have not said anything. I guess the DGA apparently made a nice deal for them. There were some questions regards to AIs and stuff like that, which I also have questions of. I don't think AI should be implemented, but that's a video for another day. But actors, though, actors, just want to keep it actors today. I have personally done auditions in the past, and I actually plan to do a big video on it in the Filming Story series. I plan to do a video about my past auditions and stuff like that. And I will tell you how, at least from my experience anyway, how the process goes. First thing is first, because I feel like there's a misconception about payment, knowing about wages and stuff like that. At least as an actor, I think just in general anyway in this profession, you are told up front how much you're going to get paid. So, there's people out there who might presume that, oh, well, they didn't say how much I was going to get paid, or they kind of outed me of some money. No. How this business runs, at least from the acting side of things, and again from my experience, is that they tell you how much you're getting paid up front. They tell you the hourly rate, wages. They tell you what kind of schedule they have planned out. They let you know about everything. And at that point, you determine whether or not you want to invest into that sort of thing and make that kind of money. So when the actors say that they were underpaid or all that sort of stuff, they're full of shit, because you got what you signed, what you signed, because at that point, that's that'd be, you know, that'd be illegal, you know. So, and not to say that actors have not been underpaid or not, anything like that has not happened, but to make it as if it's such a widespread thing, you know, like just because it happened to a few people does not mean it happens to everybody, you know. And you know, it's something that you hear about often in the news. You know, you hear about people saying like, I was underpaid, or I was mistreated, or this and that. You know, people say a lot of stuff about a lot of things on sets, and most times, at least to me anyway, they are fairly exaggerated. You know, they're not, you know, there's not much of merit to what they say. I mean, there's sometimes there is legitimacies, there is some, you know, some meat to what they're saying, but a lot of times they're full of shit. They're just, you know, letting their insecurities dictate, you know, how things went versus actually seeing it for how it is, you know. And I don't believe in equality. I believe in fairness. I believe in what you signed is what you get, you know. If you were owed $1,000, you're owed $1,000. If you're owed $10,000, you're owed $10,000, you know. I mean, this is the contract game. I mean, the actors, you know, especially any actors who have, you know, legitimate names to them, this is the game, you know. And also, as an actor, you have to understand that acting is not financially stable anyway. So is it any surprise that a lot of actors end up being producers? Like, it's, you know, what is it any surprise that any big actor that you know of, Brad Pitt or Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I mean, like, is it any surprise that these big actors have production companies and are producers of their own content? That's where the money's at. That's where you make the most money. I've said it before to writers, if you want to make the most money possible, be a producer. Don't be a writer. A writer is disposable. An actor is also disposable. The producer is someone who's putting money towards a project. That's somebody you really can't replace because they're putting the money towards the project. So they are a viable asset. They are super valuable. The actors or the writers, they can rotate you out if they want to, you know. You're not that valuable. You know what I mean? In terms of the artistic merit, in terms of the expression, yeah, the actors, the writers, the camera people, all those people are vital to a film set and to the artistry of it all. But in terms of a business, you are disposable. You are not that important to a set. The people who are most important on a set, and really the bosses of a set in some respects, are the producers, because they're the ones putting the money on the table. You know, yeah, from an artistic point of view, yeah, it's the director. But in terms of finance, that's the producers. Producers are the ones in charge, you know. So, and some people will, you know, some people, I've read articles somewhere where people were just like, oh, well, that's kind of unfair. You know, producers shouldn't feel that way. You know, they shouldn't feel that they have all that power. It's like, I mean, they're the ones putting the money on the table. So it's like, you know, that's like saying that you put like $10,000 towards something and you're not allowed to say what goes. It's like, I think you should have a say in things. You know, you should have your hands in some manner. Now, obviously, if you hire on somebody like a director or anybody else, yes, let them do their thing. You know, you're hiring them on for a reason, you know, because at that point you should just be the director of it if you're going to be calling all sorts of shots. Because some producers do get a little bit, you know, a little too aggressive, you know, with, you know, how they want things to go, or they get a little too involved, you know, because, I mean, but the director's there to just steer the ship. You're just there to pay for the ship, you know, so, like, kind of know your roles, you know, like, so, like, I get the point of view of, like, why people will say, oh, well, producers shouldn't be involved. It's like, well, I kind of get it, because, yeah, I mean, ultimately he's just putting the money down on the table. He's not meant to be a creative, but at the same breath, he is putting all that money down, so, you know what I mean? So I can kind of get where some of the irritation might stem from, you know? So it's like, I kind of get it. I kind of get both sides. But ultimately speaking, the producers are the ones making the money, you know? And it's no surprise that actors, you know, take a, you know, invest into that sort of thing within their careers, because they realize that at some point. They're like, yeah, this is not going to be that financially stable, so let me be a producer so I can be more secure financially, because, you know, the box office is especially this year, it's kind of iffy, you know. So for an actor, you might have more security with being a producer as well as an actor in a film, you know. So I forget her name, but she made someone said some weird comments. She's like a producer and a star of an upcoming film. I forget what it was, but she said something, or I forget who it was, but she said some weird shit where she was like, oh, I'll be very upset if the union didn't go through. And I'm just like, you're a producer and a star of your own film, and you know, it's like you're making it sound like as if you don't make any fucking money. It's like, as a producer and a star, you are gonna be just fine. You know what I mean? You know, and it's all lying in the contract, okay? Whatever you sign is what you get, okay? So don't be upset when you're being handed a certain amount of money. That's what you agreed on, okay? Because I remember people usually sign like this. They don't, you know, read the formalities. They don't read about all these other things. Because yes, Hollywood is scum. We know this. Hollywood does have loopholes. They will find ways to cheat you out of things. But, you know, they also are upfront. The contract is there, you know, you read it, okay? And if you know, don't use logic, you don't use common sense, or like most people, you just sign it blindly, you know, then I really don't have much sympathy for you when you're advocating for better wages and stuff like that. It's like, you sign the contract willingly, you know, you knew what would happen, you know, if you signed that contract. You would be rewarded a certain amount, you know. That's how it goes, you know. So you know, so I just don't have much sympathy for these actors, and I just they're full of shit when they say these things like, oh, I was underpaid, or I was mistreated, or you know, as a female, like they have to throw, you know, their some race baiting or gender baiting, whatever, they use their shit to win over fucking arguments and shit, you know. It's kind of like throwing themselves on the table. It's like, look, I don't have any other arguments, so let me just use this shit, you know, as my way to like to justify everything. Doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, though. So but yeah, actors, I mean, if this strike does happen, though, there are actual implications, you know. With the writers, it's one thing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But with the actors getting involved, that actually can cause a lot of issues in terms of, like, they were just talking about most recently with marketing campaigns. A lot of the campaigns can become very problematic, you know, if we have actors on the streets, you know, protesting and shit, and they're the stars of a film. It then gets kind of weird as to how we promote them. You know, we just had that right now with Ezra Miller as the Flash, you know, like, studios will have to be a lot more careful with how they promote things for a while. And also maybe they even have to delay things, you know, because of just how willing they might be to promote their stuff. There is a weird suggestion at play, though, that's, I don't know where it came from, but they were like, this might affect our box office. And I'm like, I think that's a little silly, you know, to make that kind of assumption that the protests over here are going to somehow dictate box office numbers. No, I just think that people are just getting tired of seeing the same old shit in theaters. So, you know, that's not a fault of the strike. That's a fault of, you know, mainstream content, you know, content just becoming repetitive, and people are noticing that more often nowadays. But also, like, for the future, think about, you know, if the actors went on strike and if the union did fold and they decided to give actors more say in things and all that. Imagine a newbie on the streets. If they made a statement about being underpaid or whatever like that, even though they weren't underpaid, they can, like, squeeze the fuck out of their union if they want to like try to get more money, you know, and because they're saying all these crazy ass things. And then of course you have all these narcissists and self-entitled motherfuckers that are gonna, like, you know, help out these people. It's just it's not meant to be a equal system. It's meant to be a fair system. It's meant to be a system that is built on you know, what you sign, what you agree to. It is not a system that is built on what you want, you know. That's not how this works, you know. If you wanted living wages, as what I've been hearing from the writer's strike and I'm pretty sure the actors are going to ask for the same fucking thing, which my answer to that is become a producer. But you know, it's like, if you wanted living wages, then you shouldn't have became an actor. You shouldn't have became a writer, because anybody with a few brain cells knows that this profession is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed a lot of money. It's not guaranteed stability. It's not guaranteed wealth. Like, you're not guaranteed all this shit. You're not guaranteed all this stuff. There's a lot of things that you have to, you know, you have to do in order to make it into the industry. You have to, you know, land a good project. You have to be politically correct. You have to, because, you know, it's so, you know, all this woke bullshit, you know, it's like, you better hope to God you don't say something that pisses the 1% off, you know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of factors, and, you know, that's, you know, like, you have to be a very specific kind of person to get into this kind of industry. And, you know, you also have to have either previous wealth, you know, you have to be, you know, people with fucking money, you have to be with a family with fucking money, or you got to know a guy who knows a guy, you know what I mean? That's kind of how the system kind of rolls, so. But whatever you end up signing, whatever you end up agreeing to, whatever you end up starring in, or whatever, if you sign a contract, whatever your contract says is what you get, okay? So I don't want to hear from these actors that they feel betrayed or they feel this and that. If the strike goes through, personally, I don't think the strike's going to go through. I don't think that many actors are willing to do this, you know. Probably some will, probably actors who haven't had great careers. You'll see. It's like when they get on the protest line, you're not going to see Brad Pitt or fucking, you know, any of these big ass names go on the protest. They're not going to do that shit because they're making fucking money. You know, it's going to be people who are probably not doing the greatest, you know, who are going to be in the picket lines. So, you know, just kind of like whatever, you know, like, oh, that, you know, I was going to say that Netflix star or something like that, but Netflix, you make some good money at Netflix, I heard. Depending on the position, of course, but yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but basically, yeah, like, I think that actors are full of shit. I think that they, you know, it's narcissistic. They're just manipulative kinds of people. They think that they're just entitled to more money. That's just the bottom line. There's no cheating. There's no this and that. And if there is, that's not the fault of the system. That's just how the system's been for years. It's a fault of you for not doing proper research. It's a fault of you not realizing what kind of industry you're getting into. I've always said no before you go. Don't do this, okay? I was telling my brother that. It's like, you can't make assumptions about things. You have to do your research. You have to, you know, get a greater understanding of things, you know? And then make an assessment. Then see if you want to invest into it, you know? Like, don't assume things, you know? Like, that's terrible, you know? That's how you get into trouble. That's how you end up in positions like this where you might be struggling, you know, and not making bank or whatever like that, you know what I mean? So you gotta use your brains, dude, you know, and a lot of people in Hollywood do not. But that's my thoughts on this. I'm just kind of posting this just because in the event that the strike does go through, I don't think it will. But then again, I said the same thing about the writer's strike, and here we are with the writer's strike. So I guess anything goes, you know. But I'm wondering how this is gonna impact films in general. You know, if they will actually delay a bunch of films. You know, I'm curious of what that's gonna look like. If Disney just said, fuck it, we're gonna delay everything. So I'm curious as to, you know, how other studios will respond, you know, to these strikes. You know, if the SAG strike does go through, you know, I'm curious what the response will be. So. I still think the WGA is doing the right thing in not budging. You know, I'm glad that they haven't budged yet. Obviously they will. That's just inevitable, they will. But for now, I'm glad they haven't budged. Like, seriously, you know. all you're owed is what you signed. That's it. So, and same thing for the actors. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you want to make money in this industry, be a fucking producer. That is where the money is at, people. That is where you make the money. And it is no it's no coincidence. It's no like surprise that many actors are also producers. They know it too. They know where the money's at. So the people who don't are the people that will be in the picket lines. So, or just liberals, or just blind fucking people. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the potential actor strike that may be happening. I don't think it's going to go through, but you guys will know your thoughts on the actor strike, if it will or will not happen. And just, do you believe that the actors are, entitled to more money? Do you feel like the writers are entitled to more money? I don't think so. I don't think so. I believe in, like I said, I believe in fairness. I don't believe in equality. So, you guys know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it from you guys. Thank you guys for watching. We've got a ton of videos coming down the pipe. Like I said, I think I've got like a month or two's worth of like videos that I've shot. So I think we're pretty much good for pretty much the whole summer. Jesus Christ. So be on the lookout for all those videos when they come out. And of course, if anything happens throughout the weeks that are to come, obviously we'll stop and post the video. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.